and no one else but our chairman, Requesting Mr. Honorable Rufus Dioluven, will conduct the press conference.
Well, thank you, ladies and gentlemen of the press, especially our international friends that have traveled thousands of miles to come here to follow on the peace process and the workings of our democracy. For us at the level of the ICOP, we are peacemakers, we are lovers of democracy. We've been in the trenches for so many months now fighting for the stability of our country. We call this press conference to respond officially to a letter written to the ICOP by the government of Liberia, represented by Councillor Musa Dean Jr., Minister of Justice, Attorney General. For the benefit of our listening audience and our viewers far and near, we want to read the letter written to the ICOP by the Minister of Justice, and then we'll brief you accordingly on our official response. During the time our request was sent, I was in Kakata, Margibi County, mobilizing for the counter protest. And so my co-chairman, Mr. Heron, and our secretary, Rachel, did the communication. So the reply is directed to them, but again representing the ICOP. Let me not belabor the issue up there. I'll just go into the issue. Dear Mr. Heron, this will serve to acknowledge receipt of your letter of the 26th instant, requesting protection to stage a peaceful counter protest on December 30, 2019, beginning at 4 a.m. in reaction to the Council of Patriots' request for security protection to convene a peaceful assembly. Due to the numerous requests we have received from conflicting groups to permit the security protection to stage protests, counter protests, demonstration and peaceful assemblies in Monrovia, and following a review of government's obligation and capacity to safeguard the peace and security of the state at this critical time, government has decided to defer decisions on all requests received for permits and security protection to stage protests, counter protests, demonstrations, and assemblies until January 20, 2020. We crave your understanding and cooperation as we all strive to maintain the peace during this Utah season. Kind regards, Councillor Frank Musa Dean Jr., Minister, Attorney General, Republic of Liberia. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, members of the press, our brothers and sisters in Radio Land, you have just listened to the reading of a letter which summarily states that there's no protest on tomorrow, there's no counter protest on tomorrow, there's no peaceful assembly or otherwise on tomorrow. According to the government of Liberia, December 30 should be a normal day where people should go about their normal activities. For us at the level of the ICOP, we are very disappointed. We are disappointed by this communication because the Minister of Justice is not fair to us. The ICOP is a peaceful group. We have been in obedience of the law. We have not threatened the stability of the country. We have never threatened to burn the RIA. We have never threatened to destroy the executive mansion and put the president down. We've made no threats against the peace and democratic governance of this country. So to put us in the same basket with the COP and deny our request, we think that it is seriously unfair and the government is not fair to us. However, the ICOP is not a rebel group and will never be a rebel group. We live in a country of laws and not men. We depend on the government for our protection and security. It is the same government that has written to say, we cannot help you on Monday, don't get on the street. We don't have the capacity to protect all the groups that have applied for protests, so no group should get on the street. Defer your request to January, where the mechanism for protection will be put into place. In spite of our disappointment and frustration in this letter, we can do no more than oblige. We can do no more than accept the letter from the government of Liberia that we should not counter-protest. We want to use this occasion to inform our coordinators in the 44 blocks. The ICOP will divide Monserrato into 44 blocks, and the mechanism for tomorrow was designed such that each of the 44 blocks will produce 5,000 peaceful citizens that will come on the road from different communities and converge at the Capitol building, Executive Mansion, and the Temple of Justice in direct defense of our Republican form of government, our democracy, and the peace of the country. I'm using this occasion to inform the coordinators in all of the 44 blocks to de-escalate. I want to inform the coordinators in the 44 blocks to discontinue the mobilization for the counter-protests. The ICOP is not a rebel group. We cannot defy the government. We cannot disobey the advice from the international community calling for peace and tranquility. The ICOP is not an island, and so in this public manner, I believe they are all listening, even though between now and tonight we'll continue to drive around and inform the different blocks, all of the blocks, that there will be no counter-protest on tomorrow. And the main reason why there will be no counter-protest is that this letter is also saying, now the little good side but this letter is that all sides have been denied. Had this letter permitted any other group and not the ICOP would have defied this letter, because it is our constitutional right to protect and defend the democracy of the country. I will just go back a little bit. A few weeks ago, you all know, when the chairman of the ICOP was coming from America, he said, and I still have the recording, I will share it with you. The COP, I'm sorry. When the chairman of the COP was coming from America, he said it, and I still have the recording, I will share with you, that if there's any warrant of arrest issued him at the RIA, he will authorize a man to burn down the airport and destroy the international airport. That is a sound of Osama bin Laden. That is the voice of an agent of Al-Qaeda. Because at the international airport, it's not just Liberians. We have Americans at the international airport. Mr. Costa, if you burn down the international airport, you will kill Americans. You will kill Europeans. You will kill our brothers and sisters from ECOWAS. And this is why the ICOP came up strong to say that we will counter-protest. If we had the ICOP in 1989 to counter-protest, there would not have been rebellion in this country. When mad men take to the microphone and threaten the peace, we have to tell them that we have the majority. We have our children in school, we have our businesses in this country, and you cannot threaten the peace. We respect the rights of Liberians to protest. If any other group of Liberians come out to say we want to protest bad governance or corruption, we want to register our concern to the government. If we have money, we'll even help you to do that, because it's your constitutional right. But if you say you go into the mansion, like Yeke Koluba said, to hold the president by his necktie and bring him down, that's not free speech. That's not democracy. You are talking about war, you're talking about violence, and that is the reason why we are counter-protesting. We are not counter-protesting the democratic right of our citizens to assemble. No, we are counter-protesting this particular group called COP. Many groups have been demonstrating. The COP has been hijacked, ladies and gentlemen. I'm a founding member of the COP. We organize the COP as a civil society movement to pressure the government to deliver on her campaign promises. The COP has now turned into the new rebel group. Go down Waterside tomorrow morning and just say, COP coming. People will start closing their stores. If you don't believe me, go Broad Street now and just take a microphone. COP coming. Cameramen will start running because of the bad image. They use our effort to pressurize the government to turn into a semi-rebel group. And you think we'll sit here and be afraid of you? You don't know that we are fearless? Maybe you don't know our history. With bullets on our chests and knives on our throats, we challenged Mr. Taylor at the University of Liberia that we wanted peace. We demanded peace. And we can do that to one little boy coming for vacation from America. It's not fair to our democracy that whenever you have vacation from your school, then I protest. When your classes start, then protest finish. You think we're living here at your whims and caprices? Who are you? What's your history? Facebook Live? That's your beginning and that's your end. We've been in this business for many years. At the age of 25, representing the youth in this country in parliament. And then to chief of protocol, minister, we've been all over government. I don't want any government job now. I want to remain in civil society and fight for the ordinary people. Finally, the ICOP is not here to defend government. We are not defenders of the government. If the Ministry of Information cannot defend their government at their business, we are defending our Republican form of government. We are defending the result of the election at the number of 64% plus. We are defending our democracy, the peace and stability of the country. And Costa and the COP, all I can tell you, are lucky. If the Ministry of Justice had not cancelled a counter protest, my beginner, I know you're going to party, even get on the road. Because we're very sure of 5,000 per black at the rate of 44 blacks. So if you know my better than me, you can determine that. We're going to defend the democracy of this country. In my meeting with the Americans, I told them that the ICOP, we don't want trouble. But my brother, there are ways that you can engage the government and put the government feet to the fire. You read the American press statement yesterday. Inflammatory remarks. Take to the peace. You will burn airport. That means you won't kill the Americans. You will go to the mansion and bring president down by force. Then you starting for Butuo again. Where are the critical voices? Where are the civil rights leaders in the country? Where are the churches? Rebel business starting on Broad Street, you're looking at it. If we are not put a checkpoint to the COP, if we are not established speed breakers to the COP, rebel business are going to start in Liberia tomorrow, right on Broad Street. Because the other people that voted for the president will not allow you to say president move from there. There would have been clashes of the two forces. That clashes, that's what they call war. That's what Webster defined as war. And there would have been blood, there would have been killing, there would have been mayhem, which we don't want. But we encourage the Americans to go further. Don't just pressure Costa by doing a press release. We encourage the Americans to cancel the male student visa. And the ICOP will read the American embassy official. Cancel his student visa. Under American laws, you cannot reside in America and propagate messages of terror and hate in any part of the world. And I will give you the appropriate session. If you visit in the people country and you sit down there on Facebook and say go burn the airport in another country, that's terrorism. And that's what Costa did. I'm very disappointed, especially in Senator DeLong. You're elderly man, you've been in the business for years. You sit down there, won't begin you Facebook live and they'll push all of you down the swamp. And all they will do to us, open all the fake profiles, curse us on Facebook. When they come to cursing Benin, nobody can be Costa in it. They can curse. Myself and the poor curse me on Facebook, I can't believe it. But we can go West Point in the night to call rally. You saw it. We can go Nukuta in the night to call rally. We dare the COP to go Claratown now and go talk about your demonstration. I can move from here and take you Claratown. There will be celebration in Claratown. They get Facebook, we get the masses. And we are prepared to prove that tomorrow. Had this letter had not come. Any attempt to say you're not following the letter, they will say ICOP, that rebel group. We promise the Americans in our meeting with them that will be law about it. So the purpose of this is to inform you that the ICOP has instructed all of our coordinators to de-escalate, demobilize, retreat, be calm, no counter-protest tomorrow. Don't disturb anybody, let the people go about their normal businesses. Thank you very much, and may God bless us all.
Excuse me, we'll be taking one question each for everybody, one question each.
For everybody or
seven persons. Okay.
Yeah. Yes, thank you. My name is Ray Stone. I'm down from the Independent Group. When we spoke to you yesterday conference, he said any attempt for the Justice Ministry to deny your group will go to court. Are you still standing by that, or you are also dropping?
No, the justice in the letter, the justice minister did not deny, he deferred. The letter said your request for permit is deferred to January, so it's different from being denied. I will give you copies of the letter. Defer me to push forward. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. My name is.
No, hold on.
My name is Moses Gazil from the Voice of America. My question has to do with Mr. Costa and the COP has said whether they receive a permit or not from the government, they will still stage that protest December 30th 10th. There were earlier communication from the government to the Justice Ministry, to the COP. You are countering them and they are going to be protesting. Do you have any plans if you see that this protest is going beyond days, you might remobilize your forces to come and counter?
The same international partners that talk to us also talk to the COP. So we're waiting for them to defy our international partners. Liberia is not an island. More than 20,000 Nigerians die in this country for the peace under ICOP. The United States government spent millions of United States dollars, if not billions, to support the ICOP and all the peace initiatives. The same with our friends from China and the European Union and a lot of countries in Africa, including the African Union. They are all advising that we should not be violent, we should not disobey the law. The United States released yesterday say you should operate in compliance with the law. And under Liberian laws, you don't have the right to obstruct my movement, except you have a permit. The same right we have as ICOP to go on the road are the same right the journalists get to go on the road. I don't have a right to you from getting on the road. Coordinator of the rights, the regulator of the rights is the government. When you go there, when I go there, the government is saying no. The COP wrote for protection. You read me for protection, I'm saying no, you're still going on the road, so where are you taking protection from? And the ICOP will remain law abiding. Will not go against the laws of the country, will not put people on the streets without permit, because that's a violation of the law. We don't want anybody to die in this country because of the ICOP. We don't want anybody property to get destroyed because of the ICOP. You only have ICOP because there's peace. You only have COP because there's peace. When there's no peace on Monday, there will be no COP, there will be no ICOP. The guys that will be in control of the town will be the guys from Central Street in the graveyard. It will be the Zogos. If you have war on Monday, you will not have control. Now when you don't have control, you don't have a government, then you don't have COP, you don't have ICOP. So we have something in common. The COP, the ICOP, the government will all have something in common. And what we have in common is peace. You can only exist when there's peace. So don't threaten the peace. Yega Koluba said on Monday, George Weah will come down, the government will come down. Costa said the government will come down. There is no way the government can come down and Darrell Dillon be senator. If you put the government down on Monday, Mr. Darrell Dillon, you will not go to the Capitol building on Tuesday. I don't even know why your car will come on the road. There will be chaos. You're part of the government. We got 3 branches of government. The government is not the president. You representative Yega Koluba, you official of government. You Senator Darrell Dillon, you official of government. If hard time in the country that y'all the poor get hard, that y'all the poor get problem with, y'all been receiving $15,000 every month in the kind of poor country. Mr. Dillon, when you were elected, your first project was to receive a Toyota brand new Jeep that cost almost $50,000. I think that was heartless. I would have never received a $50,000 car in the kind of economy. Dillon, that's why you receive. So the problem, the hardship you're talking about, you and your man, your government official, you're part of the hardship. For all we on government payroll. So if you put people on the street to say things hard, I hope there will be no government official in the crowd saying things hard. Because the first step in solving the Liberian problem is to set up $50,000 car and take over all your $15,000 per month. So what I'm saying in short is that it's a merry-go-round. We're in the thing together. You rock the boat will rock for everybody. If you think that you will break down the democracy and go to Accra as a stakeholder and go divide job, you're joking. If you think that you will harm our women and children and spoil the country and then you become a stakeholder in Yamasokro or in Benin, Cotonou to be on the peace table and divine job, you're joking. If you harm the people, you will go with them. You will not be a mediator, you will not be a negotiator, so stop. And this is why we want peace. So all of the ICOP Zooms, don't counter protest tomorrow. We expect that there will be no protest. So if there's no protest, you can't counter. Yeah.
I'm Daniel Yankuna, report for the UK Guardian. Ambassador, apart from counter-protesting, is there any ideology that the independent COP stands for? Are there issues in Liberia you want to see better, like you articulate?
We were part of the construction of the petition to the government. So some of the counts in the petition are genuine counts, and we want the government to look at them. In fact, the government started looking at them. I think they took the LEITR men from there and the board is now reconstructing or reconstituting the LERT or something. The government also appointed to the LACC, and because our emphasis was integrated institutions. Now people got to be checkmated. The whole thing is borders on corruption. So some of the counts in the petition are genuine counts, and one the difference between the COP and the RCOP. The difference is the methodology, the approach. One group saying, look, you can dialogue on the petition and find a way forward. The government can even report to you on some of the steps they've taken. Some of these economic problems can be solved in the short run, the medium run, and the long run. You can't tell me to go to agroeconomy in 3 days, because you know trees got to grow before we go to agroeconomy. So some of these demands are not in the terms, they're in the mid-term, some in the long run. What we therefore is that we say there should be dialogue and there should be other form of civil pressure on the government. The COP is saying no, jump over the executive mansion fence, hold the president by the necktie and bring him down. The COP is saying burn the RIA. So the difference between the COP and the RCOP is the methodology. We too want employment for youth. We want the government to fight corruption. Like I stated yesterday, we emphasize on this. The president must wear his iron jacket himself. Get down and fight corruption. Anybody steal one rim of sheep, punish them, Mr. President, and let the world see you punishing them. We need justice, we need fair play. But that kind of rhetoric that the COP coming all way about, you know, we're not moving from on the road, we bring them men down. I don't think it's fair for our democracy.
Yeah, thank you, Ambassador. I'm Chopin Flammer in a report for Fabric. It has been alleged that the RCOP allegedly took money from the government in the tune of 30,000 to do what they are doing now. Do you have any response?
Well, we haven't been spending the money, so I don't know where the money coming from. Most of the time, you cover all as the media institution, we don't even pay you. You know, people give us the free media opportunity to their stations without getting any pay. And our mobilization are all been community-based, driven by community people. As a matter of fact, we don't have GoFundMe. The other people get GoFundMe. I think they get $3,000 in the GoFundMe now. You know, we don't have any GoFundMe. We don't have money. We are riding on the wave of a message we preach. We are riding on peace. We are riding on stability and democracy. And this is why, even in our advocacy, we criticize the government. If you follow us closely, both the COP and the ICOP criticizing the government. But the COP saying people should jump over the executive mansion fence and bring president down. That is a critical point where we disagree, because in 1989, when people decided to force the president down, 250,000 people died. 1996, April 6, 2003, World War I, World War II, World War III. All these things have been problems. So we don't want it to happen. Let's engage, let's listen to ECOWAS, let's listen to the African Union, let's listen to the United States of America, our greatest partner, the European Union, and let us work together to find peace. Secondly, just on that, there is no way here in Liberia that you can mobilize people to the streets and put a government down. You know why I say there's no way? It's a vainglorious effort, because people loyal to the government will resist, and their resistance will lead to crisis, and that crisis will be what we call war, and that war will lead to the death of thousands of Liberians, something that RCOP is against. But we are not saying the COP is wrong for criticizing the government. You can criticize the government, you can do. We're saying the COP is wrong by the strong rhetoric coming out of members of the COP, as evident by the United States press release yesterday against Henry Costa and the rest of the guys. And I hope the US will also be preparing sanctions and other form of international pressure on them.
Yes, Ambassador, I'm Denise Nelson from JFM. For several weeks now, the RCOP has been campaigning for counter-protests. And now here you are, just a release from the Ministry of Justice that both parties will be permitted to protest. And now you are coming in to say you are abandoning your quest. Why the COP is still insisting that they will protest? One may say you are afraid to counter-protest, or that was just a tactics to scare the COP.
A counter-protest, and you know the word counter-protest, not for you because you read a lot, but for some of our people out there, the word counter-protest have been misconstrued, misinterpreted. A lot of people see counter-protest like Mark Tyson versus Holyfield. You know, a lot of our people out there, they see counter protests like you know, Barcelona versus Real Madrid. The team will going to clash. But a counter protest, if you just Google it, or just Bing or go into your search engine, you will see that a counter protest is the station of protest basically on the same day, at separate location with separate messages. So if you can have a protest at ATS and that protest can be countered at SKD. You can have a protest in Banga and that protest can be countered in Cape Mount. A counter protest is not necessarily the clashing of two forces. So what we're asking the Minister of Justice to do is to give us a venue and give the COP a venue. So when the COP go to the venue and say the government must leave office today, will be our venue and say honor session blah 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 of the Constitution. The government got 6 years and it can't come down today. If the COP say you gotta kill all the people that are supporting the government, will say no, under Liberian law you can't kill people for their opinion. So that's how you counter protest. But the ordinary people have been hearing the word counter protest is it's an old war but a new political variable in the Liberian setting. 1979 when Matthews and the rest of the progressive protest, there were no counter, there have been no counter. But we were now asking for a counter protest in the same vicinity per se. We were asking simply to be allowed to gather, to give an alternative message to the strong rhetoric coming out of the COP. And I advise if you just go and read the counter protest, it happens in many areas. Sometimes in Washington DC, you see one group saying never Trump, and you see another group in another state saying no Trump, our man. That's how you counter. It's usually done on the same day so that the media can cover the two messages. Now somebody asks why you can't take your own to another day. No, it's usually done on the same day, but not necessarily at the same venue, so that the same CNN that will be here, the same BBC that will be, the same local press, EFBC, the rest that will cover the two messages. So there will be two messaging to the international community about the democracy in Liberia. That's why we meant by counter protests. Even though some of those that are very limited in their research capacity, I've been saying, oh, the Pope going fight war, the Pope going fight the other people. Counter protest, we may not even see the other group, because if the ministry gave me SKD and gave you AT, I may not even see you. But of course, there will be two reporters now. It will be your burden to send reporters to both areas. That's why we meant by counter protest. So it was not war. And it will not be war. In January, if we are permitted, it will not be war. Our only request is that we want the areas around the Capitol building, the Executive Mansion, the Temple. We want Capitol Hill. That's the request we gave to the Minister of Justice. Because most of our people will be coming from West Point, from Nuku Town, from Clara Town. I mean, we mobilize all around Monrovia. But the entire West Point were prepared to come outside tomorrow. The entire Clara Town were prepared to come outside tomorrow. We gave a genuine revolutionary instruction to the masses. Come outside and defend the democracy. And they were coming off of West Point. So we were asking for the Capitol Hill area so they don't have to go way to SKD. Send the COP people now plenty. You carry them way on that side because they'll be using buses to haul people. But we were bringing our communities. Someone said, oh, the Pope renting buses to haul people. Buses? Pope would have trooped from West Point to the mansion. You say buses? We need buses from Nuku Town to the mansion to defend the democracy and the peace of the country. You got to rethink that. There would have been no buses available tomorrow, no money given. The people would have come to defend the democracy. Not necessarily George Weah, not necessarily Buffer Chimos, not necessarily Chief Justice Francis Kobo, but our Republican system of government. Take for example, let me just draw you that very little. Look at the political chemistry of the COP. The chairman of the COP, the executive member of the ALP. The co-chairman of the COP, Wemope, the chairman of the Unity Party. The secretary general of the COP, Mo Ali, is the same man, secretary general for the Unity Party. So if you get a tear eyeball, you can see that there one group of people defeated in elections saying the other met time and I'm feeling the moon. That all are happening. The executive members of the COP can expose the true nature of the COP. Party officials from opposition party. I think my brother was just beating in pins on the ALP ticket. They say you beaming, attend to save our society now, and you will not earn your 10. And you want to fall for that? When we were in the COP, there was no leadership. We made Dinon the spokesman. I told Dinon, you can't be chairman yet. When we go to a meeting, you want the spokesman. Everybody asked who the chairman of COP, there was no chairman. Because we're afraid to politicize the COP. But most of the meetings we had, when we go to those meetings, Henry Costa will record us, and he will take the recording from the meeting to Benin IGA farm. And I warned him one time, I said, Costa, this thing should not be under any political direction. Let's act as civil society. Because I'm hearing that you're recording us in a COP meeting and taking the recording to Benin IGA farm. Because some of the things we say were even against opposition. We said the opposition lazy. So we want to confront the government in a peaceful way and demand changes. If they change our president, we are promised he must deliver. But you can't be taking our recording to the Unity Party people, other people. Because we even have seditions in the COP who are not happy with the government and said we'll join the COP, even though George, we are our man, but we'll join the COP to put him under pressure. So there was no political identity. As soon as we broke away from the COP, then the men formed the executive committee, Unity Party chairman as COP co-chairman, Unity Party secretary as COP secretary, the ALP executive as COP chairman. You want to be fool by that kind of nonsense? We say no. And that's where we stand. And more importantly, we are not against any of the parties. We are only saying the COP will organize to be a purely civil society movement to advocate for the people and not a political arm of politicians in the town as they have turned it to be. Thank you.
My name is James Flomo. I report for Spoon FM and Spoon TV. You talk about preaching peace, and you are now backing up from the pending protest or counter protest based on communication coming from the Ministry of Justice. What are some of the steps you intend to take to disabuse the mind of young people who believe in protest?
Well, protest, peaceful protest is part of the democracy. When a group of citizens are not satisfied, they have the right to organize themselves in an orderly manner to protest peacefully to bring the government attention to something. And the ICOP is not against peaceful protests. We are against this particular one because, as evident by the United States communication yesterday, people have been making strong rhetorics. They've been threatening war. Even as late as early as yesterday, Yaya Koluba says the people ready for war will bring war, and war will start on Monday. So you make those kind of statement, then you're not exercising your democratic rights anymore. I can share all this. When they make this statement, we just record it and forward it to the international partners, forward it to other well-meaning Liberians. I will begin forward, get your email, begin forwarding it to some members of the press. All of these negative statements. So we are resisting this particular one because of the level of negativity and the war drum that the guys have been beating. But tomorrow, if some press people come out and say we don't have freedom of speech, the media are not independent anymore, we want to protest, even we get money, we help you to protest. Protest peacefully is not a bad thing. But Yaya Koluba and Henry Costa war they won't bring here, we not agree. We not agree. People agreed 1990 about walking here. That time we not agree. If you say you won't bring war, we'll resist you. We not agree. And we challenge the Minister of Justice to give permit to the COP and don't give us permit. If you give permit to the COP anytime in January, you don't give us permit, we will automatically counter protest. It will be automatic and spontaneous in different communities. When you get any permit, you gotta give a permit too. But say you deny all of us, okay, no problem, we'll send our home. That's why we are resisting this. So it should not be misconstrued that we are fighting this thing. And let me tell you one reason why the COP is having some problem to withdraw. I learned that yesterday some people said they made some donation to the GoFundMe. And if you cancel the protest, what will happen to our money? So they have a meeting. The difficulty now in canceling the protest because they have received thousands of US dollars. I think the last time was 3,600. Sadia is the financial secretary for the ICOP. We are appealing to him to please appeal to some Liberians to find money even for our market women and shoe shampoo and pay the people GoFundMe money back to Costa. Because he received money from people. To cancel the protest is difficult, my man. It can happen to anybody. If I collect, it can happen to anybody. If I collect money from Yoya now and say I'm going to protest, I will say I'm not protesting again. How do I account? It's hard. So we got to understand with the COP too, it's difficult for them to cancel their protest. They get people money. So you got to implement the project. But the ICOP will help them to raise the money and give it back to them. In America, there's something they call cash out. I think a year now said through our mobile money. So all the people that donate to the COP, just cash out the little $20, $100 back. No people that gave COP money, they're not bad people. Some of them thought that the COP were coming to exercise a democratic process. They didn't know that Yeke Koluba would say war. Because if the guys that donated to the GoFundMe knew Yeke would say war, they would not put their money there. And you say you burn Ara, so you don't blame the Liberians that contributed to the GoFundMe. They thought that it was a democratic movement of peaceful citizens to bring government attention. Now that the COP turned to a rebel group, we need to give these people their money back. It's important.
Thank you very much.
Last question.
Last question.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You don't do that.
What's up, beautiful people? My name is Too Sweet Anan, aka Twitchy. You can also call me the Fashion Supremo. I'm in Liberia right now.